Vince Lombardi said the difference between a successful person and those that aren't, it's not a lack of strength, it's not a lack of knowledge, but it's a lack of will. Today, we're going to discuss the red zone. Now in football, the red zone is an extremely important phase or part of the field. That's the 20 yards going into the end zone. The best teams have the most efficient offenses in the red zone, meaning once they enter that red zone, they score at a high rate. They have a high percentage of scoring. It's an extremely important time in a football game to really understand your game plan, execute with efficiency, and make sure that you can get those points which are really needed. Today, we're going to focus on the retirement red zone, right? What is the retirement red zone? We call the retirement red zone the 5 years before you officially retire and the 5 years after you retire. The things we do in this about 10-year span are really going to set us up for a successful, significant retirement, or potentially could have some costly mistakes that could set us back. So today I'm going to share with you 5 things. Welcome to the Live More, Leave Your Mark Total Retirement Game Plan channel. Let's dive in. In my opinion, the number one most important thing that we need to know about in our retirement red zone is we need to have a vision for retirement. We need to understand what's the lifestyle that we want to live? How do we envision spending our time? Our teammates, they want to live more and leave their mark. So we got to understand what that looks like. It's something we spend a lot of time and take a lot of pride in helping our teammates understand. Now, with understanding that vision, we're going to need to know what our income needs are. What are we going to need to take care of any of our basic expenses? And then what are we going to need to take care of the things we want and the things that we see us doing that are going to create a significant impact for us? A general rule of thumb is you want at least 80% of what you were making before retirement. Everybody's situation is going to differ. So this is an important exercise. The most important thing, in my opinion, having that vision of what it means to you to live more, leave your mark, so that you can determine what are your income needs going to look like. The second thing that we've really got to understand in that retirement red zone are healthcare costs. One, if you're a person that has the opportunity to potentially retire prior to retirement age, we're going to need to know what do those healthcare costs look like up until we can get to Medicare. Another thing is probably the average couple, right? The average retiree is going to spend about $300,000 plus on their healthcare costs, premiums, any unforeseen things that may pop up, a long-term care event, those kinds of things. So having a realistic expectation of what that may cost us in retirement and building a plan or playbook so that we can tackle that particular concern. Number 3 is we have to have an income playbook. How are we actually going to generate the cash flow needed to do the things we want to do in retirement? We may need to consider using some different tools, trying to reduce the risk and volatility of our portfolio, and look at using income generating investments and options to help us have security knowing that we're going to be okay. Obviously, we got to consider our Social Security and when is the best time to take that? How does that affect any other pensions we may have or other benefits available to us from our working years? Making sure that we've got a written income playbook, knowing where we're going to draw assets from, which accounts we're going to start with so that we can accomplish those retirement goals. That's a really important thing to understand in the retirement red zone. The fourth thing is we've got to understand the impact of taxes. You know, one of the things that we see a lot when we bring a new teammate on board is they're paying just as much, sometimes more taxes than what they were paying in retirement. The retirement red zone, we've really got to understand how taxes are going to impact us throughout retirement. Many people have saved a lot of money in 401ks, IRAs, TSPs, 403bs, 457 plans, etc. We got to have a way to unwind that tax liability that's been building up over all of our working years. So making sure we look at any Roth conversion strategies that may benefit you long term. Another thing to consider and understand is when one spouse predeceases the other, taxes are impacted in a huge way, because now we've gone from being married filing jointly to now where we have to file as a single earner. That alone can really be a costly thing to someone's long-term retirement. The fifth thing is we may need to look at adjusting our asset allocation. And folks, what I mean by that is when you get to the red zone in a football game, 20 yards and in, there's actually a special game plan or playbook that every team puts together. Things that they've worked really hard on in their film study, knowing that, hey, we think these things are going to work. And they're actually going to spend a good chunk of their practice going through those and perfecting those plays that they may run there. We may need to look at adjusting our asset allocation, right? Throughout our growth phase, getting towards retirement, it's all been, growth focused. How do we grow this pot as big as we can, which is wonderful. In the retirement red zone, it may be worth considering trying to reduce some of the risk in our portfolio, looking for some safer potential options so that we don't get blindsided by something during those years, which can have a huge impact. So adjusting our asset allocation, still looking to get yield, but reducing the risk that we have may be something that everyone should consider. Just like 20 yards and in for a football team is the red zone, really important to execute in that phase. That retirement red zone is a phase we've got to have on lockdown. The 5 years before and 5 years after retirement, let's make sure we've built a plan considering these things here so that you can have that confidence and clarity moving forward. Y'all, thanks for joining us for another Live More, Leave Your Mark Total Retirement Game Plan episode. Please reach out if you'd like to have a conversation with a financial professional about how you can look at building a game plan for yourself. Have a great day.